Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 11th episode of the Draft Indy podcast. I'm Grant Sinning, joined today by Brian Krosky. We are here.
We're at 11 already? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's 11, man. It's been an interesting ride. We haven't done them consistently, but over 11 of these is pretty crazy, I think. And we're going to do a lot more, hopefully weekly, as draft season approaches. Did you watch the game on Sunday?
No, I haven't watched the Colts game in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's hard. It really is hard. I'll
listen to on the NFL Game Pass. Like, I'll listen to it and I'll follow it on like Gamecast. But like, I don't really get any of the games that aren't in upstate New York. I really don't get any of the games. But I mean, right. I'll try and watch some of them, like the game after. But like, I don't even watch all 22 of this team anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Am I back? Okay, yeah. I'm back. I don't know what happened. But anyways, I know what's going on. Anyways, it's really hard to watch this team because it's just been bad. Matt Hasselbeck, God bless him, tried. He's a trooper.
Actually, funny story about that. I was playing tennis with my friend on Sunday, and I knew the game was at 1. And I didn't really care about the results. I was playing tennis, and like I looked at my phone real quick, and it was like Matt Hasselbeck like taken off the field. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Like this is like the 4th or 5th straight game." And I got another notification saying he's back in the game. I was like, "Just take the guy out! Like there's no point in putting him back in."
I know, man. He gave it his all. I mean, he
really did.
I mean, the grit. Grit. We're almost done with grit, but he's got it. He's got it. He's got oodles of grit.
But like it really goes from like his head to his toe of like injuries that he sustained, like not only this whole season, but like if you want to just take like the last 4 weeks. Like I really think I'll like have to check back, but hasn't been the last 4 weeks he's been taken out of the game and put back in the game with an injury?
I don't think that. I think this was the first game that he was actually put back in. I think the last 2 weeks it's been like the last couple of drives. I think it's been 3 weeks in a row he's gone out.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I meant. Like he's been out of the game and then he returned. I mean, that's just insane.
Earlier this year, the dude had stomach virus. Remember, like before the Houston Texans game, like the dude's on an IV the day before a game, like the day of a game, and he still plays. Like, holy cow, man! Like, talk about taking one for the team, which is awesome. I totally commend him. He's been a rock star, kind of. I mean, when you look what you're going to ask a backup quarterback to do normally is play through recovery of a quarterback. If you're not putting him on IR, you're looking for your backup quarterback to go out and win half the games that he's in or more.
Half the games, and you really don't want to ask, I'd say, like a good standard would be like a quarter of a season. Like 4 games, like that's all. So, I mean, technically you're asking two wins from a backup quarterback, or else you're really getting into like different territory, which obviously the Colts found. But I mean, that first stretch with Hasselbeck, we couldn't really have asked for anything else from him.
Right, yeah, and he's done what he's supposed to do, and you kind of knew that Luck wasn't ever really coming back, and he's already ruled out for the Sunday game against the Titans, which, oh my God, that game, Ryan Lindley, Josh Freeman, Stephen Morris, and Matt Hasselbeck is practicing just in case. So I read that earlier today. If you asked me 3 months ago who's going to be starting Game 17, I probably would have been like Matt Hasselbeck. We'd probably be 15-1 at that point, right? We were 15-1, but no, we signed Josh Freeman off the street. Ryan Lindley, the dude. I think he's a concussion guy, right? Like he gets a concussion, like if you touch him. Like I think he's that guy.
I know with the Bills and Cardinals, I want to say, yeah, he
he's had so many concussions and Stephen Morris. Like I remember watching like a tape of him last year, and I was just like, okay, I understand.
I remember pre-senior season Stephen Morris hype, like day 1, day 2 hype of Stephen Morris. I was like, oh, this. Like the kind of dual athlete, like big arm, like African-American quarterback. I was like, I can't wait for this hype. And then he fell off. So I have no idea who's going to start I I I mean, there's 33%
Doesn't
chance. I mean, is Hasselback like playing or no? Like, I don't even know where he's
Why?
at
I
with
don't. We've
injury.
got three other dudes. Like,
Yeah,
just go out there and hand the ball to Boom Heron like 40 times.
but
Like,
like I just can't think of who would start and like how you would assess that because I don't even know like who's played the most recently. I don't know who's played the most snaps. Like I don't know how to assess that. Obviously the Colts have to. But like imagine like the odds and like what Vegas is doing right now, like trying to figure out who's going to be starting for the Colts.
it doesn't matter. I mean, they're all garbage. It's just. I
I'm going to
mean,
go with Stephen Morris just because.
why
I think it's
not?
going to be Stephen.
Why not? I mean, Grigson is most likely going to stay, even though everyone is on the train of firing him, and that's okay. But I mean, if he's going to stay, why not take a look at him in a full game, NFL game,
Yeah.
against a really bad team? So I mean, this game is gonna. If you don't have to watch this game, I don't know. Mettenberger versus Stephen Morris sounds just.
Mettenberger's going to light it up.
Oh man, I was really hoping for the Charlie Whitehurst revenge game, but he's hurt.
And all in all, in honesty, this is kind of a good offseason for the backup quarterback for the Colts situation because I think there are a lot of good day three guys that I've so far looked at quarterback that I think the Colts really could address. And I don't see a reason why the Colts shouldn't spend a draft pick or at least a very high priority undrafted free agent. I mean, think about guys like Cody Kessler, Brandon Doty out of where's he out of? Western Kentucky. So I mean, this is a good stepping stone forward because we've this year has kind of showed what backup quarterbacks can do. This is the year of the backup quarterback. So we don't know what's going on with Stephen Morris or Matt Hasselbeck or Charlie Whitehurst. So I think this. I know we talked about this before, but I think it's a good chance for the Colts to kind of draft that full-time backup. Get your Jim Sorgi in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was hoping for that last year, honestly. I mean, it's something that we definitely need. We don't want to be
Who did
left
the
with
Colts get?
Orlovsky.
Yeah, who
Or
did the Colts? Who was that undrafted free agent the Colts had?
Um,
He had like a
Alex Tanney.
no. It was
Is it the guy is it Mr. Irrelevant?
from Brian Bennett from
Oh
Southeast
yeah,
Louisiana.
Southeast
I
Louisiana.
mean, he had a cannon, but he couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat. I was hoping. I was like, oh, maybe this guy like will progress, and then because I didn't really know anything about him. I know like some people thought he was like a fringe day three talent. I was like, here's a potential, long-term backup. And then I watched like 2 games of his, and he
It
was
was
the
bad.
most inaccurate quarterback I may have ever seen.
Yeah, those it's kind of sad. Like our third string like offensive people have always had bad shake because either like in the first few years the offensive third string offensive line was just so garbage that like the quarterback didn't have a chance, and then
Mm-hmm.
now the wide receivers don't have a chance because the quarterbacks have been pretty awful. I can't even remember that guy's name. Who's the guy who we drafted with Mr. Irrelevant in 2012?
Wasn't he from
He
like
went to he went to the Vikings.
wasn't he from like an Ivy League school or something? I don't know.
No, he's from North or in NY or in NIW North Illinois. Northern
Chandler
Illinois.
Harnish.
Chandler Harnish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy. He was whatever. I mean, he wasn't very good, honestly, but whatever.
But like this year has shown like what if you have a good backup, and like this is something that I really want to dive into because I'm trying to focus more on quarterbacks because last year I really didn't because it was just like that 2-horse race with Jameis and Mariota. So I kind of just like let that go. I didn't really study quarterbacks. But like this year, as I'm like studying more quarterbacks, like I really want to find like where the Colts can like move forward with drafting a backup. And I really think it's a good year to do it.
Who's your favorite?
As a backup, I love Cody Kessler because I think he's like a prime, like I think he's going to be like a really good backup guy because he's got like a low ceiling, high floor. Like he evades pressure really well and he's accurate over the middle. It just like he's like 6'1", 205. Like he's not like physical at all and he can't really like throw the ball down the field, but I think he's going to be a great backup. And like I mentioned, Brandon Doty out of Western Kentucky, although he played really, really bad in the bowl game. Can't remember what bowl it was. It was a couple of days ago. I mean, he's tall. He's like 6'3", clean drops, accurate over the middle. Like the problem with all these like day three, actually Cody Kessler, he plays well under pressure because I noticed like he moves around really well in the pocket, which is something good that you want to see. Like that's the biggest thing like I'm finding with quarterbacks is like what separates quarterbacks is like how they handle the pressure. And Brandon Doty's like very bad. And then also, I mean, I might get a lot of hate for this, but Carson Wentz, although people want to draft him round 1, I see him as like a round 4, round 5, like developmental. Like if you sit Carson Wentz for like 3 or 4 years, like he could be a really good quarterback. But like I think he has a really high ceiling as like he does have a really high ceiling, but like he could be a really, really good backup.
Okay.
Like he could get Matt Flynn money.
There you go. That's what you're looking for. Backup life. Charlie Whitehurst. Kellen Moore. The lifestyle.
I mean, it depends what other people think of Cody Kessler, but right now he's one of the guys that the Colts don't have a 6th round pick, right?
No.
So, and anything for backup would be like 5th or later, and drafting and spending a 5th on a backup would maybe be a little iffy. And I don't think Kessler will fall past like the 6th round, 5th, 6th. So unless he falls to the 7th, that'd be crazy. But
I think we're actually we should be getting a couple of comp picks this year. Our Francois, Redding. I'm trying to think.
Well, I don't know if Redding's done this year, but I would think he would be something.
I think his would. I mean, I'd imagine his with the contract that he got. Probably. I mean, it was like 2 years for $6 million. That's probably a 5th or later. I can't really remember who. I mean, everyone else is pretty bad, and that's why they're gone. But no one else got really big money probably besides those two, and I don't even think they got really that big of money. But there should be some comp draft picks, and in 2017 there should probably be a lot because we probably are only going to sign either one or Kobe or Dwayne, and I imagine both of them kind of get decent money somewhere else. Who else? That's really. I mean, I guess that'd be it. Freeman, if he walks. Freeman. Yeah, luck when luck walks. Freeman, if Freeman walks, he'd be some money, I'd imagine.
Is DeQuell's contract up that year too, or is it?
I think DeQuell had a 4-year deal, but only 2 of it was guaranteed, and I think this is the 2nd year.
Okay. Because I think like the inside linebackers, like I think like 3 of them, I think they either expire in like consecutive years or they're all like right together. Like they're gonna have to sign like 2 or 3 of like the inside linebackers if they don't bring in anything new.
Right. Yeah. Well, we definitely need someone who's. I mean, Freeman has been, or not Freeman. Jackson's been very good against the run this year. I really do think so. But against the pass, I mean, he's obviously no longer the athlete he was, and he's pretty limited in that range. But Freeman has just been a rock star this year. I mean, absolute monster. So, I mean, I'd be interested. I mean, if scenarios come down where we're drafting Jalen Smith or Miles Jack to play inside linebacker, that's cool.
Ragland.
Yeah, Reggie Ragland, Alabama. He's good. I've watched one game. I watched that whole defense. I mean, everyone on that defense is in the draft this year. I mean, let's see, Jaron Reed. Is it Ashawn?
Sean Robinson.
Sean Robinson.
Who's 93? I just watched him today. Jonathan. What's his name?
I'm trying to remember. Jonathan Allen. Who's the outside linebacker?
I don't know.
I think that's Jonathan Allen.
Well, he's like 270, but like he's kind of edge, but he can also like play 5 tech.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, even going back like Cyrus Jones, their corner, like that. I remember people just saying like, because everyone was kind of down on Alabama this year, and people were like, this may be like the best defense they ever have, and that front 7 is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, and I think 5 of them are coming out for the draft, so they'll be interesting names to look at.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely thinking. I mean, I know we've all been pushing edge round 1, but I mean, I don't think it depends where we draft. I think we'll have a chance to draft some of those. This is actually something I wanted to talk to in this podcast is I don't really know exactly where the Colts will be drafting. I'm guessing it's somewhere between 13 and 17.
I think it was between 12 and 19.
Okay, I didn't really know how big it was. The
13 and 19, I think.
But here's the thing I'm thinking. Say Miles Jack and Jalen Smith are off the board and Reggie Ragland's there. This is kind of something that I've been tossing back and forth in my head. Like, if you're picking in the top half of the first round, like, should you really be drafting the third best player at a position? Or, like, would you rather find, like, if that position's so deep and so many guys have gone ahead, then is there still, like, another position, like, with the second best player available, like, who maybe isn't as much of a need, but if you want to go best player available? Like, would you really want to take Reggie Ragland at, like, 14, even though he's, like, the third linebacker off the board?
I'm taking the best player on the board.
Uh-huh. Like, that's just something I thought about. Like, you might have, like, the second best cornerback on the board or, like, the fourth best linebacker. Like,
but what if the fourth best linebacker is graded at a 93 and the next guy down is a 91?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you can't. I feel like you really can't not draft that much depth.
mm-hmm.
You can always draft depth. But to your point, so let me just give a quick list for our listeners right now between 12 and 19 in the last few years. Let me do that. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's just give people a little. This is what's come out of it. Here we go. 2015, Danny Shelton, Andres Pete, Devontae Parker, Melvin Gordon, Kevin Johnson, Eric Armstead, Marcus Peters, Cameron Irving. So, Marcus Peters, he had the school problems, but wow. And so is Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson's really good too.
The weird thing about, I'm going to cut you off, you can go back, but the weird thing about like that middle of the first round is like the thing of how most people kind of grade players, it's either like, yeah, you'll take them top 10 or like they're in the 20, like it's either like high first round or like low first round. Like it's tough to like grade people like in the middle of the first round because like you either want them to be like that elite prospect or you think they're a little less than that. So it's kind of tough when you think about grading within like that middle of the first round, teams at 7 and 9 and 8 and 8, because I don't know, it's just weird because like, yeah, you can probably have like an elite guy maybe fall to you, or like, are you drafting a guy who could even go at the top of the second round that like you don't want, that you know you probably can't get again?
Right. Well, I'm trying to.
The middle of the first round is so weird to me.
It is, and the cool thing about the middle of the first round, I guess, is that it's always that it depends on where you're at. Like if you're up towards the top, that's always a nice little spot where people will be like, "Well, hey, we'll give you a second round. We'll give you our second round pick to swap with you."
Yeah,
this guy's fallen so far. Like that could be a situation we'd see, especially in the middle round. But I think the 2014 draft really is like when I was remembering the 2014 draft, like these are the people that came into that middle of the 2014 draft: Odell Beckham, Aaron Donald, Kyle Fuller, Ryan Shazier, Zach Martin, C.J. Mosley, Calvin Pryor, and Juwan James.
That was such a deep draft.
Such a good draft, and this draft is not like that draft.
Mm-mm.
But still, the point remains. There are people in those mid rounds that normally fall, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'll just do 2013 real quick. Where am I at? Sheldon Richardson, Starlo Tulele, Vinny Vaccaro, EJ Manuel, Jarvis Jones, Reed, and Justin Pugh.
Mm-hmm.
So Richardson being there, Starlo Tulele, those guys are good. So and that draft wasn't deep at all. That draft was awful.
Yeah.
So I think we're there. I think we're right in that area. So
I can see Colts trading down a couple spots.
Yeah, why not?
If you're in the middle of the first round, like your guy's going to be your guy. So
if it's Grigson, he's been known to trade down and he's been known to trade up and trade away, whatever. But I could totally see a situation where like if we were in that like 15 spot, someone's like, oh well, like this, our top rated CB who we knew wasn't going to be rated very high on everyone else's list, is sitting there, but we think this team might, like him, and boom, switch with us, and we get a second round pick, or if someone's desperate enough, a 2017 first, but that's not really likely to happen. But
I mean, it depends how far, but I mean, I know there's that sheet that shows like the value of like each pick and like when, like how far you trade and like what round, like what you like receiving compensation. But I mean, at worst, you would think like a third or a fourth. So I mean, a third would be nice.
Right?
But,
Yeah,
I mean,
it would be.
All options are available for the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, even if they wanted to tell me that they wanted to trade up to grab, an elite edge guy, cool. I don't care.
Well, I think this draft has like a lot of those like elite guys. Like when you talk about the 2014, like there's like those like 5 or 6 guys that are like elite.
Yeah,
like
and then
both
everyone else.
I think Hargraves is, Tunsil. I mean, like elite guys. So
yeah. So I mean, we're in a good spot. It'll be interesting to see how things end up, where we're going to be. If we're going to have the same GM, I know we're going to have a new coach, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of players we're going to be looking for here soon. They could switch, hopefully, from a power blocking scheme back to a zone blocking scheme, which all of these linemen are suited for way more than power. And then, the defense most likely should stay a 3-4. I think a lot of I could see Hugh, if Hugh were all the big names that we've, Chip, Harbaugh, those are 3-4 guys. Hugh is, I think, traditionally a 4-3 guy. But, that doesn't, I mean, he doesn't have to run, the same thing as an offensive coach. But, a lot of people stick with what they're comfortable, I guess. Which is why Rex Ryan ruined an amazing defense. But anyways, that's not a Bills podcast. Let's kind of talk about this offensive line real quick. And then we'll start. We're going to preview here, listeners, but we're going to break down probably the the top 2 tackle prospects in this draft. Laremy Tunsil out of Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss?
Yep.
And Ronnie Stanley from Notre Dame. Both guys, very impressive human beings, and we will talk about them in just a second, because what I wanted to talk about to you, Brian, is so they draft an offensive lineman, whatever. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
They're going to do it. But if they're going to use this pick in this mid-round, it's not going to be on a guard. It's not. It can't be. I hope it's not.
There's no there's no Nick Martin, I don't think. Or or
Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no – I don't really think there's a guy like –
spending a 7th overall pick on Jonathan Cooper has worked out. Or even in Chance Warmack. I mean, Chance Warmack has been good, but, I mean, you spent a top 10 pick on a guard.
Right. So, I mean, realistically, I think we'll talk about real quick. For me, I've looked at a lot of centers in this draft so far. I've watched about 4 of them. They've all got 4th-round plus grades from me. They're good. They're good. So I think that's going to allow us to draft a center later if we were going to, which is why I could totally be in favor of this draft, of them drafting a tackle. Laremy Tunsil is most likely out of the range. Stanley is probably in range, depending on how people like him. But the thing is, I think when he tests at the combine, he's probably not going to be in range. We'll see. He's a freak to me, and we'll break him down in just a few minutes, and that's we'll get on that. But drafting a tackle is probably a good idea, because Joe Wright's, even though he's passed the eye test of right tackle. He's been fine. I mean, he's not out there, pancaking someone every play, and you're not going to expect him to. But he passed the eye test for a starting right tackle. That's still not his natural position. His position is a guard. So if we were to draft like a Stanley, move Wright's inside, pick up one of these centers in the 3rd, 4th, or maybe even 5th round. There's a lot of them who I still haven't even watched. And then boom, your offensive line
is Costanzo, Uhort,
good center,
Wrights, and then
Stanley.
Yeah, I mean, or even if they want to move Costanzo to the right side, they probably wouldn't, but
they probably wouldn't with the amount of money they're paying him.
Yeah,
but he could. I've always thought. I think he's a good left tackle, but I always thought that he'd probably be a dominant right tackle. But that'd be a competition that they'd have to really look at. But I think that honestly, like if that situation happened, I'm not going to be mad. Yeah, I want a defensive. I want an edge guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. I want that edge guy. But if that's how the situation is going to play out, that is going to make the team just as good.
Exactly, it improves the unit, and that's what people are talking about when they say if Laremy Tunsil goes 1 to the Titans, like that's like the popular pick right now. Then like that moves Taylor Lewan over to the right side, makes him more natural, and Jeremiah Patasi, who was playing tackle, who's more of a guard, moves him inside. So like what they're saying is it improves 3 positions, which is true for them. And with the Colts, it would be improving, maybe not even improving, 2. Yeah, I mean, rights give or take on the guard or at the tackle, but when it improves the whole unit, that's what makes it better.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it would improve the whole unit.
That really doesn't – I mean, I guess the only other scenario in which that would happen, I mean, you could think about it like on the D-line if someone's playing out of position. That doesn't really happen. It would be like the secondary. Like if you draft a guy, like say like Darius Butler is like playing on the outside, and so like you draft a boundary cornerback like who can play on the sideline, play deep, moving Darius Butler back to the nickel in the slot. Like that's another situation where when you're drafting, you're not only improving 1 position, but you're improving 2.
Right. Yeah. And that's a scenario that can happen. And when people you're like, you're crazy. You don't want O-line. You don't want O-line. It's like, no, I mean, that's not what I'm saying.
I just want something.
You're not listening to me here. I want what is the best available option, and edge rusher makes the team better. It does. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I mean, I truly, fully believe that having someone to fear on the pass rush makes the defense just that much better. And that little fake mock draft thing I posted last night, Carl Lawson, Noah Spence, Daddy Nicholas, and then Carl Lawson. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that obviously isn't going to happen. But if they were to draft like 3 of those guys, just 3 edge guys or 3 offensive linemen and put the competition down, like the unit's going to be better. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to happen though. But that'd totally be awesome because that'd be like the best draft ever.
Yeah, nothing like fan speak mock drafts.
Yeah, they're fun. Well, I think that one was first pick. Fanspeak's fun, but there's another. It's like first-pick.com.
Okay.
That's a plug. I'll be expecting my check in the mail.
Yes, so I just do it with all teams. Like yesterday with the Cowboys, I got Paxton Lynch, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Doxson, and Chris Jones out of Mississippi State with the first 4 picks.
They're so dumb.
I mean, yeah, but I really hope people like realize last year, like you can't take those serious, like no matter whose boards, because like people will be like, I'm trying to even think of like some scenarios like first round pick, like Alvin Dupree second round, Amir Abdullah 3rd round, Eric Rowe 4th round. It's like, I'm so good at this drafting stuff, but so
sorry, I was reading the DMs from James. He's here, or he's talking, and we'll see if he gets on. We can make fun of him if he is.
Did you want to dive into the tackles then now?
Yeah, let's we're about to dive in. You know that song? Please, no. God. All right, whatever.
What is it?
I think it's Chris Brown.
I like Gold Chris Brown. Forever is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah. My wife likes Chris Brown.
That played at Pam and Jim's wedding in the office. That was an emotional moment for me.
James's dad came over. I'm gonna give him a pass. I don't think he knows we're still podcasting. I'm gonna send him an invite. So I mean, he can jump in if he wants. Mm-hmm. If not, we're just gonna keep on going. This has been fun, by the way, Brian.
Yeah.
Real quick, I mean, I guess we give him a second. This is kind of a surprise. So Brian, I guess we're trying to become more, increase the brand. Tell everyone what you've been working on and stuff. I know that might be awkward, but self-promote just a little bit. You're a busy guy.
Oh, well, I have nothing to do that I'm off break from school besides kind of work, but kind of just locking myself away, doing draft breakdown stuff, kind of just creating a huge list of players, watching them I'm not the only one. A lot of us doing this, but I mean, we decided to look at Tunsil and Stanley for this one. I thought it'd be a good idea. Not very realistic between picks 12 and 19, but we don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. So decided to take a look at two. Ronnie Stanley was kind of an unknown when you think about it going into until last season. I remember Josh Norris. I want to say it was around this time too. He was like an unknown, and then Josh Norris said something about like Ronnie Stanley possibly leaving as like a redshirt sophomore. So like that's when you knew it was legit because like he was gonna be like one of those high risers, and like people thought about him going like I think at the time it was like number 5 to the Redskins because they need an offensive line. It took Sheriff, but like people thought that Stanley could go there. So Stanley was like that high riser last year, although it was really early in the season. Like it was still December. It was like pre-bowl season, but he returned. And then Tunsil, I mean, Kindichi was the number 1 player out of high school that year. But when Ole Miss got Kindichi, Treadwell, and Tunsil, I think they were all top 10. Am I right, Grant?
Say that again?
Well, remember the year when Ole Miss, that amazing recruiting class, when they got Kindichi, Treadwell, and Tunsil? I think they were all like top 10. I know Kindichi was 1, but Treadwell and Tunsil were right up there.
I think
Tunsil was 3 that year.
I think you're right. I don't really do a lot of the high school recruiting, but they were all 5-star recruits. Mm-hmm. Those 3 are absolutely fantastic.
Like you got so like people are obviously this year we're talking about Tunsil versus Stanley. So here at Draft Indy, what we do is we go into the film room and we look at it. I received a little bit of flack yesterday because my original diagnosis was that I would rather have Ronnie Stanley than Laremy Tunsil, which is kind of shocking because people think that Laremy Tunsil, besides him and Joey Bosa, is the number 1 hit, just like once in a generation talent. I mean, he's very good. Received a little bit of flack of that. Went back and looked at today, kind of changed my mind. I see them a little more. They're kind of equal to me because they both have elite aspects of their blocking. So I don't know exactly what you have with them, Grant. I know I probably watched a little more than you, but
for me, they're both very good pass blockers. They're both Tunsil's way better at run blocking, I think, than Stanley.
They're not really bad at anything.
But they're not. They're both very good prospects. But like if you're trying to compare the two, run blocking, Tunsil's better. His technique is, I said this the other day, if anyone was reading my timeline or whatever, but to me, when you compare the two, Stanley is the freak. Absolute. He's quick, agile, strong. Strong. And but his technique needs work. The other side is Tunsil. For me, Tunsil has way better technique. He uses his punch, his leverage, his footwork. His footwork is awesome. That's one of the things I really like watching with offensive linemen is their footwork. And it's one of the most
320-pound dudes showing nimbleness. Nimbleness.
Yeah,
in the open field.
It's absolutely incredible. They're so big. Like I'm a big guy, but I just seeing these guys do the things that they do. It's very impressive, and you know that they're absolutely incredible athletes. But he bounces like he's got such a good step, like his step, his back pedal ish stance and pass protect is so nimble. And then like as soon as he punches, he's a rock. He is just so strong. He's getting them under the pads, and he takes them one way or another. His Tunsil is a very good prospect. He's probably been one of my favorite offensive line prospects that I've watched. You watch one tape. I watched one tape and I just knew it. I'm halfway through the game and I'm like, this guy is absolutely fantastic. Stanley is also very, very good. I'm not trying to make it seem like one guy is, Tunsil is way, way, way better. He's better. Like, don't get me wrong. I think that he is better. But Stanley is no joke either. Like I was saying earlier, he's an athletic monster. I think that dude, if he can get the right offensive line coach, that guy could be a top 5 tackle in the NFL because he's strong, he's quick, his footwork still needs work, his punch isn't timed always the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a lot of his criticism, really, is, like his technique is just kind of raw. I mean, because he is a young guy, but I mean, he is, when it comes to the physical aspect of the game, guy's got it down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I guess you can kind of go off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of notes from them. Like you said with Tunsil, first thing I noticed is, he is by far, like, he is an elite run blocker. Like, he is just amazing. Mm-hmm. The thing that, like, one of the main things is kind of just novice scouting is, like, when you're run blocking, like, you got to take your guy and you have to rotate him. Like, you have to get him so you can get that hole. And he does that better than anyone who was. He just, like you said, he gets run into the pads and he will literally just rotate a guy 90 degrees like that, and he opens up huge lanes. I mean, his upper body strength is just incredible. You just notice that on any run that he does, he's opening up lanes and he's getting guys off blocks. He has a good punch. He has a great punch. I mean, great, but he times it well, which even if you don't have an elite like punch strength, if you time it well, that will do that. Moves well laterally. Like I said, elite run blocker. Like, he doesn't lose one-on-one battles.
Yeah, and guys, when we're talking, like Brian was saying earlier, like, this guy, unless I don't know what would happen, but this guy is most likely out of the Colts range. But we're going to talk to you guys about these big prospects, because from now it's December 30th. Between now and May, whenever the draft is, a lot of stuff changes.
2013, Todd McShay's first mock, when the Chiefs had the first pick, was Star Lotulelei, and he went 13th, 14th to the Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some combine stuff. He had that heart issue.
Yeah, the heart issue.
I mean that's what happens. He was an elite. People saw him as like that elite defensive tackle prospect, and he fell to the Panthers. So, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, remember Geno Smith was going number 1.
Yeah, he was going number 1. He got to the second round, and
I mean, 2013 draft is like way over there, but
it is bad. There's like James. I think James says he looked back and said something about only being like 7 to 8 really good players out of that draft, which happens. And I don't know. I've only been into edge and a couple of tackles and some centers, so I'm not really sure on the depth of the draft. And there he is. It's James. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, guys.
From a new location.
That's baller, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, you guys can go back to what you're talking about. I'll jump in later.
We were just really talking about Tunsil versus Stanley. We were talking about how Tunsil is probably the number 1 prospect in the draft, but from now and until May, things can change, which is why we're talking about him now.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on him. Like I said yesterday, really quick, like just looking through the tape, I did like Stanley better at like first look. I received a lot of heat for it because like if anyone like says anything bad about Tunsil, the whole timeline destroys you. But I went back, like I just saw some things about Tunsil that kind of makes it seem. I still think they're pretty even. Like I said, it depends what you're looking for. Like Tunsil's an elite run blocker. But one thing, my biggest criticism about him is, I don't know if you guys saw him going downfield. Yeah, he moves well, but he is confused as hell when he has to go into the second level. Like, there are so many times. I mean, there are a lot of times when he's just, like, looking, and he has no idea who to block. And those, I mean, yeah, they're quicker guys, 230-pound linebackers, 220-pound safeties that are coming in the box attacking the run. But, like, he's not even putting a hand on them. That was my biggest problem, is he just that, and sometimes in the second level, like, when he gets a block, like, he doesn't have, like, that mean streak, like, where he gets it and he pushes that guy, like, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Like, he does it sometimes, but, I mean, if you want to talk about elite number 1 overall prospect, like, he should be doing it more often than he does. So we want to talk about his movements and how strong he is. Yeah, he does that well. But actually, in the second level, I prefer Stanley over to Tunsil because I think Tunsil, he just looks lost out there sometimes.
Yeah, and one thing that and kind of almost on the opposite kind of point of that is that when they do pass offs and pass protect, he's really good at that. He'll like if he's passing, like if there's a guard one-on-one guy and like he's past the chip guy or whatever, he's looking for someone to block. Like he will take that second guy and drive him to the ground.
Yeah.
If that's what he's doing. So I mean,
that's something Ole Miss did that Notre Dame didn't really do as much because they would take Tunsil, they would put him on the inside guy, and then swing a guy around to get the linebacker, defensive end, blitzing off the edge. And with Stanley, they would just kind of put him on an island, which I don't know if that really speaks more to their offensive system or whether the skill set of the players, because I almost want to see this is a big thing I saw with La'el Collins coming out of last year, who I loved, is that they kind of didn't really isolate him. Like, you couldn't tell whether or not he was good like on his own island one-on-one against a guy, because like they never really tried it. So is it an offensive schematic, or is it trying to hide the player's deficiency?
That's interesting. I think with Notre Dame,
I love La'el Collins, by the way, too. I think I love him just as much as these guys.
That block a couple weeks ago where he's out in front
with McFadden.
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh, like that dude is moving. Where you stand? What do you think about Tunsil, Jay?
I think he's better than Stanley, but they're both good players. I think Tunsil, I feel like I could try to trust him a little bit better in pass protection, but I don't know. Offensive line's not my strongest specialty, so I could be wrong. I don't know. I watched a few games of each, and overall impression, I like Tunsil a little better, but I don't know. I don't. Good. Yeah. Either way, if you get either player, you're gonna be happy, and you'll have a solid tackle. So, Tunsil probably you're gonna have a better chance of getting a great tackle, but either way.
No, I do believe Tunsil has a higher ceiling.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a little more. He sometimes looks like he's a little more raw in his technique, and I don't know about his. I don't know. Sorry guys, I came in so late. I've been doing stuff for 2 hours with my kids.
Hey.
I like them both. They're both good. I'm not too. If we're being honest, I don't even worry about a tackle first round this year. Tunsil's going to be long gone before the Colts get there. He might be the number 1 overall pick. If not, he's going top 5. Stanley, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he goes top 10. So, I pay attention, and I could throw some belief. I could write up a scouting report if you guys asked me to, but I don't really. I wasn't too worried about making sure I'm right on it. They're both long shots. I don't know.
That's fair. But like I think I said this before you came in. We talk about one versus the other, but they're both great players. Like they're both really, really good. So, like you said, if you got either one, you're happy.
Yeah. So that's the thing I came away with. Like both of them are good, and I wasn't too strongly trying to pick out which one's better. I think I like Tunsil better, but they both have things that they do better than the other.
I kind of wanted to get in that with Stanley, because I think what Laremy Tunsil is as a run blocker, I personally believe Stanley is as a pass blocker. I think that's what I said. Like they're both, like whatever one can do good in one thing, like the other can do as good in another thing. Anything you can do, I can do better. Like Grant said when we just started, like he's so freaking athletic and it's smooth. Like because he's when you're going against. He's going to be facing pass rushers that are 250, 260 pounds. So he's got 40, 50 pounds of just weight on him. Like he's able to mirror him and just keep his feet like that, which is incredible. He's clean with his pass protection. I think his punch is just as good as Tunsil's, but he stays engaged, which is the biggest part. He doesn't really let his guy disengage and try to counter move, which you're kind of taking him out of the play to begin with. And then great kick step. And we were talking more about their movement. I think Stanley's better side to side, or not. No, take that back. Tunsil's better side to side, moving laterally, but I think Stanley's better going north and south. I talked about Tunsil struggling when he goes into the second level. Stanley, I love how he does on downhill blocks. I think his like, the way that he carries himself and
Yeah,
uses
he's a
mass
mean guy when he's out
yeah,
there.
to create.
Yeah,
He creates momentum going downfield, and I like him better at the second level, moving north and south against the second level of the defense than I do with Tunsil. I think he's
I think
struggling. Go
I
ahead.
think he's meaner. Stanley's meaner than Tunsil.
That's a
Which is
fair
weird
thing to say.
because like we would expect Stanley to be like that mauler guy, but he's good in the run. I mean, he's great in the run game, but like he doesn't really. Sometimes we don't see that mean streak, which we would expect, which we saw from Lael Collins in his 2013-2014 tape, where he was taking out 2-3 guys in one block, and we wouldn't expect that from Stanley when he's kind of that athletic pass blocking kind of guy.
But when you get him, when he's on that second level, he's
Mhm.
out to hit somebody.
Mhm.
Like he's mean on that second level, but you know one of my kind of going. If we want to talk about some kind of weaknesses of each guy, I think Tunsil's frame, not frame. I don't want to say frame. I think Tunsil is more susceptible to being beaten by speed rushers than Stanley.
Yeah, I got that right there. I said he deals better with speed.
Yeah.
Kick step.
I think Tunsil is, like I said, he's not bad at it, but I think if we're putting a fine tooth comb to comparing them, you know, I would say Stanley is better against speed. But I would say that Tunsil's better against power, easily.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Straight inside, that inside power, like if someone gets Stanley on the inside, like on an inside move, like swims his hands away. I'm like doing it in the camera. But if he can if that happens to him, he's not able to recover as quickly as he can.
Grant, I swear you're like reading like what I have open like note for note. I have can get pushed from inside shoulder. So if he's got, it says, I put in parentheses like if he has a 5 tech like going straight at him hitting the inside, or if the defensive front's running if they're running a stunt and you get the guy coming over, attacks his inside. I think that's where we talked about both upper body strength where Tunsil's better, and technique, because his technique isn't as well to handle that inside pressure when he doesn't have that. So I mean, yeah, I think you've hit it right on the head.
That's crazy, man. That's pretty funny. I mean, it is what you see, and like that's and if we're both watching the same things, that's what we should see, and I mean, it's good to know that that is what we do see.
Confirms your beliefs.
Yeah, tape don't lie. It doesn't.
Film over narrative.
Yeah, boom. Film over narrative. It's always fun.
All those hashtags.
Hashtags all the time. I guess we've kind of covered these guys pretty well. It's it's interesting that when doing two and comparing them is cool. Next week, probably move back to defense. Probably alternate for now. I don't really know who we're going to talk.
Next week's probably going to be front office. Podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll probably spend some time on front office next week because someone's getting fired. Black Monday, it's coming. We'll see. I'm not on any team anymore. I am totally apathetic to the entire situation. If they keep Grigson, whatever. If they fire Grigson, whatever. I'm inclined to think that they keep Grigson just because he's under contract for 1 year. And I know
and that's what all the reports are saying now.
Yeah, and Irsay has always been very good with contracts, upholding them. Tony Dungy left his out and all those kind of stuff. Or not Tony Dungy, but Caldwell.
Yeah.
Squid Man. It's a trap. It's a big old trap. Detroit's been a trap for like 2 years now. I mean, it's just every time you just see him, and he's Admiral Akbar right up there.
People talking like Chip Kelly, like, oh, this is what he did in his first 3 years. I was like, Jim Caldwell's first year, he led a team to a Super Bowl. Like, I don't want to hear anything about what coaches have done, like, in the beginning of success. Like, Jim freaking Caldwell led a team to a Super Bowl.
Peyton Manning ran that team.
14-0.
Yeah.
I'm still fully 100% on the belief that Peyton Manning ran that team that year.
Yeah.
Like it was like, all right, we're getting a new coach, so Peyton, you're in charge of the offense. Just call the plays. I mean, that year was awesome though. That was the last year for Bob Sanders, right? 2009.
Oh, he didn't even. I think he got in like one snap.
One snap. Was that the one snap year?
Yeah, he tore his bicep like the first game, and then that was it.
What could have been, man?
Funny story. That happened to me in Madden. First game of the year. Bob Sanders tore his pectoral.
I think there's like, isn't that one of the stats on there, like his injury, and his is like 99? Like, chances of getting injured, 99%.
So is Austin Colley's, man.
Oh, Austin.
You
got me all bummed out now.
R.I.P. I mean, that guy, like, concussions is a very serious issue, and I'm not trying to make light of it. But that guy should have gave up football 4 years ago, but he is still trucking in the CFL, and I am not sure that he is going to be able to think straight in 5 years.
So bad.
It's bad, but no, I'm serious, man. Like, this guy needs to take care of himself. Like I saw that he was in the CFL, and I was like, this guy is still playing football? Like, for real? Like, he was great.
And for not for like pennies, it's not, he was making millions, or he could have made millions. He was only making 100,000s for whatever he was, a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. But yeah, now you're up there in the CFL, you're probably making $4,000 a game if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll talk about front office next week. We'll get into it. We'll talk about who our favorites are. If you followed me for any time, you know who my favorite is. Hugh Jackson. We can talk about Hugh. We can talk about Adam Gase. We can talk about Chip Kelly. We can talk about Jim Harbaugh. All of those fun guys. And then we can even maybe bring up some GM candidates if that happens to be the case. Scott Pioli. What's his name? Gamble from Kansas City. I would imagine
Elliot Wolf is a top name out there. The Ron Wolf's son up in Green Bay right now.
I'm not really too savvy on all the front office.
No, I just know like 6 names I've heard on Twitter before. There's the guy in New England that they tried to hire last time, but he stayed in New England instead of interviewing.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't know that guy's name. He's the player personnel guy in New England.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't really know either. We won't talk about them. We can talk about coaches, but I don't really know the GM guys. I remember when they hired Ryan Grigson, I was like, who?
Yeah.
So, I looked him up, and it was like Purdue lineman. I was like, okay, he's an Indiana guy, and then here we are.
And he's got a goatee. That's all we needed to know.
And he's huge. He's so big.
He must be really good at signing offensive linemen and doing all that.
Yeah, he must be really good at it.
Must be his expertise.
Honestly, though, he probably, Irsay is so small and frail. Irsay is like, you better do this, and Grigson probably just walks up to him and is like,
yeah, I've seen
6'7", 265. You're not telling me
each other. It's insane.
Yeah.
I never realized how big Grigson was. He was a big guy, and then you just see photos of him, you're like, holy crap.
He's a big dude, man. He's huge. I mean,
he should be playing a line.
He's the Hodor to Jim Irsay's Bran Stark. He just carries Irsay around the office all day.
Yeah. What's he saying though? What's he saying? Come on, one word. What's he saying?
Pick. Trades.
Trade.
No, grinding or something. Grind or.
No, that's a Pagano quote, man.
That's a Pagano thing, yeah.
That's a Pagano thing. Grigson's probably spend money.
I think Grigson's process. I think he says process a lot.
Yeah, bad free agent signing.
Trust the process, yeah.
Yeah, trust the process.
Throw money.
Yeah, we'll see. But it was cool, James. I wish you could have been here a little longer.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
At least you showed up.
When you spend time with your family, that's more important than talking about football, I think, 100% of the time.
That's debatable.
Except for Brian, because he's still in college, doesn't understand the value of family.
Yeah, he's a baby.
He's a baby. But that's it. Episode 11.
One more thing. In the meantime, let's hope either Laremy Tunsil or Ronnie Stanley get caught smoking weed. A lot of it.
Yeah, a whole bunch of it. I'm cool. If they fall to 15, I'm all about it. Whatever. But it's got to be one of those two. I'm not.
I thought you were gonna say if they fall out of an apartment like Indici.
Oh
yeah. Hashtag low character. That's all I'm saying.
Team low character.
It's fun. It's more fun. It's more fun than being outstanding citizens. Let's get mean people. Let's have personal fouls. Let's do it. Let's have Eric Walton headbutt a whole bunch more people just for the hell of it.
Yeah. See, I don't even care about the headbutt if he was good. I'm just mad that he's
right.
not good.
I mean, the sad state of affairs is that he's the best linebacker still, or the best outside linebacker. But wow, it's this season's almost over, guys. One more
week.
One more miserable game. I mean, this game, like I said earlier, James, you weren't here. Stephen Morris, Ryan Lindley, Josh Freeman, and Hasselbeck is practicing. Like Mettenberger, bring it on, right?
I got dibs on Stephen Morris starting.
Who you got, James?
I think it's going to be Lindley.
Lindley? I'm going to be the odd man.
Oh, what do you say? Sorry.
I'm saying Hasselbeck, dude. I'm saying he's coming back. He's gritting it out one more time for the Gipper. He's got one more in him, dude.
That guy, I don't know. That's some dedication to still be trotting out there, carrying his leg behind him or something.
It's going to be so funny when Jonathan Harrison comes out there with, like, IVs strapped on his back.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, this team.
It's going to be so good. Like,
we're still going to beat the Titans. We're still going to beat the Titans.
Oh, God, it's going to be 3-2. It's gonna 3-2 is probably the maximum score on this game. Like,
their two comes when they sack Hasselbeck and he dies in the end zone.
I couldn't say that because I was laughing so hard, but Hasselbeck's gonna die this game.
And Pagano's gonna try to tape him up if they make the playoffs. Pagano's gonna try to tape him into a chair and start it.
Yeah, the random scenario where like 9 games magically happen together, and then all of a sudden Matt Hasselbeck is put back together again and starting again.
Are we sure he's not weekend at burning us right now?
I don't know, man. Like
that might predate Brian. I don't know.
I get it. Brian likes old music, so he probably likes old movies.
You know Weekend at Bernie's?
No.
You probably know the do the Bernie dance, right?
I know how to do the Bernie.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
That's not.
All right. Well, that's fair. All right. Well, let's have a good week. Everyone have a good New Year's for real. Spend time with your families. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. All those fun things. And we'll be back next week and probably talking about Black Monday. Have a good one, everybody.